This is what happens when frustration boils over in table tennis. From angry meltdowns to shocking displays of disrespect. These are the wildest racket throws in the sport's history. Starting with the WTF Singapore Smash 2023 during the men's singles round of 64 between Quadri Aruna and Ruen Felix. Frustrated by Aruna's relentless attacks, Felix, the German player, threw his racket in anger. It nearly hit a photographer, who did stay cool as it missed her by just centimeters.
No. Sorry.
Felix got a red card for the tantrum, and despite his coach urging him, he did not apologize to the photographer. It was a moment where frustration turned into disrespect. Sometimes racket throws can actually look pretty elegant too, like in the ITTF World Table Tennis Championship Finals 2023 in Durban. During a match between Sofia Polkanova and Dora Madros, Dora had one of those moments. She dropped her table tennis racket in frustration, but instead of it falling flat, it miraculously landed on its edge. It was an unexpected and almost graceful moment in the heat of the match. Even though it did look cool, the umpire did not let it slide. Dora got a yellow card for her actions. Next up is Peter Sera. During a crucial moment in his match, he lost an important point, and his frustration got the better of him. In a fit of anger, he threw his racket with all of his strength. The racket didn't just fall to the ground, it flew out of the playing area and smashed into a nearby window. This was not just a minor incident, but a serious display of bad behavior. Throwing the racket like that is dangerous. The racket could have easily damaged or even hurt someone. Not only was it a safety risk, but it was also very rude. The umpire did not take this lightly. Seeing how serious the situation was, he quickly gave Peter Sera a red card. In table tennis, a red card for such behavior means that the player faces a penalty, often including losing a point or even being disqualified from the match. Peter Sera's outburst not only disrupted the match, but also displayed poor sportsmanship. Losing a point is part of the game, but how players handle their emotions is what truly matters. Truls Morgard was visibly angry when he lost a point in his match against Lin Gaoyun. Now, what made this incident stand out was how it seemed almost routine for him. For Morgard, throwing his racket might not be an isolated event, but part of his pattern when things don't go his way. This kind of reaction points to a struggle with handling pressure and frustration during high-stakes moments in the game. Here is another example for you. Next up is Wang Chao. After losing the third game in a row, his frustration reached its peak. In a moment of anger, he threw his racket across the table. It soared through the air and came dangerously close to hitting his opponent, missing by only a few centimeters. This kind of bad behavior is not just reckless, it also shows a lack of sportsmanship. Wang Chao's racket throw was more than just a burst of anger, it was dangerous. That racket flying so close to his opponent could have caused some serious harm. Such actions are dangerous not only for the opponents, but also for the overall spirit of the game. Throwing a racket is a clear sign of losing control and not handling pressure well. Chen Weijing's frustration got the best of him during a match when his serve hit the net and didn't go over. It's tough when you try hard and something simple goes wrong. The net block meant that he lost a point, and that really frustrated him. Was not just a small reaction, he was really annoyed, and the racket toss showed just how much the mistake upset him. Throwing the racket was a way for Chen to show his frustration. It was a quick, intense outburst that showed he was struggling to control his emotions. Chen's action is something that can happen in sports when players are under a lot of pressure. A small mistake can sometimes lead to big reactions. In this case, Chen's frustration with his serve made him lose his temper. And this is what happens when frustration takes over on the court. Thomas Kainath was already under pressure during his match. Earlier in the game, he had earned a yellow card for plucking the net, a move that indicates he interfered with the play by hitting or touching the net with his racket. This was his first violation and set the tone for the rest of the match. The situation worsened when his opponent hit a net ball, a serve or shot that touches the net but still goes over, resulting in Kainath missing the return. The frustration of losing the point due to this unfortunate bounce overwhelmed him. In the heat of the moment, Kainath let his anger control his actions. He threw his racket in a dramatic display of frustration. Some spectators initially thought that the racket might have accidentally hit the table, or that it was a mishap rather than an intentional throw. However, the video evidence clearly shows that Kainath tossed the racket on purpose, driven by his mounting frustration. Now, the key issue here was that whether or not Kainath deserved a red card. According to table tennis rules, a second violation after receiving a yellow card typically results in a red card, which means losing a point. Despite Kainath's immediate apology acknowledging the seriousness of his action, it did not prevent the red card from being issued. His apology was a smart move, recognizing that a second offense could have severe consequences. But it was not enough to change the outcome. So what is your take on these shocking racket-throwing moments in table tennis? Let us know down in the comments.